Hello. In the previous video, we saw how to use the Azure portal to create RabbitMQ VM based on the Bitnami marketplace image. It took us about 10 minutes to create a VM for RabbitMQ. In this video, we are going to see how to use, instead of Azure portal, going through the UI and clicking on different options, if we can optimize the process by using the command line capabilities provided by Azure CLI to create a similar VM for RabbitMQ using the same Bitnami marketplace image in less than 2 minutes. Let's get started. First of all, let's go and create a resource group similar to what we did in the portal in last example. So I'm going to follow the same steps that we used in the portal. Once we have the resource group created, I'm going to create the virtual machine using the Azure CLI command, and the command that we are going to use is azvm create, and we are going to pass various command line parameters to this command, starting with the resource group, which is the Azure Container Apps RG. Then we give the name as RabbitMQ for the VM. We give the admin user as Azure user, and we generate the SSH keys. We provide the image from marketplace as Bitnami RabbitMQ, and then we provide other details like the plan and the SKU for the public IP. Like, we're going to create a standard public IP for this VM. Once we have the VM created, we are also going to expose the ports 1562, 72 and 5672. 5672 is used by RabbitMQ to connect to the applications, or by the applications to interface with RabbitMQ, and 15672 is used for exposing the management UI. So once the VM is created, we will expose those two ports. So let's wait for a minute or so for the VM to get created. Currently it's running, and we should be able to see the VM created in no time. In the meantime, let's head over to the Azure portal, and let's keep our resource group ready so that we can find out what is the public IP of the VM, and which we will be using later to connect to the management UI. So under the resource group, we have, let's refresh, we should have that AZ Container App RG, the resource group which we created as the first step in this demo. And inside this, we should have the RabbitMQ VM. So we can see here the virtual machine with name as RabbitMQ is created. So it looks like the VM has been created, and we can see the location is Southeast Asia. The IP is 4.193.155.176, and with that, the VM is ready. So we can go and expose those ports. So let's open the VM port. This is exactly the same step which we did in the earlier video as well. So we are opening 5672 port, and at the same time, let me go and also open the 15672 port as well. And while those ports are getting opened, let's go and connect to this VM. So I'm going to use SSH to connect, and we get this command to run as a SSH command to connect to that VM. So let's use SSH. Azure user is the user that we have created, the admin user, via the command line, and the public IP is this 4.193.155.176. With that, it will ask us if this is the known host and we want to add it to our known host. And once we say yes, we are logged into that particular VM, RabbitMQ VM, which is created. Now here we will see what is the default password which is used for connecting to the RabbitMQ. So if you remember from the last video, there is this Bitnami credentials, the file which is created, which contains the default password for connecting to the user to the RabbitMQ VM using the default user which is named as user. So I'm going to copy this password, and we head over to 4.193.155.176. So let's head over to the browser and connect to the management portal 4.193.155.176, and the port is 15672. So we have the management UI to connect to RabbitMQ here. User is the default user, and the password is whatever we copied from that Bitnami credentials. So here we can see that we are able to connect to the RabbitMQ VM and also the management console of RabbitMQ. So we were able to do this in less than 2 minutes using the Azure CLI. If you want to know how to integrate your application with this RabbitMQ, I have another video which talks about how Azure Container Apps can use RabbitMQ as a PubSub mechanism. And we have the producer and consumer applications producing the messages and consumer consuming the messages. Head over to the video on this channel which explains all this in detail. Thanks for watching this. Until next time, code with passion and strive for excellence.